I grew up in a small town, always curious about the world beyond what I saw every day. By nature, I'm someone who values deep connections over a wide circle of acquaintances. This perhaps shaped my close-knit group of friends, among whom I counted my best friend and my partner as the closest. I met my partner during college at a mutual friend's birthday party. We connected over our shared love for classic rock and indie films, and it wasn't long before we were inseparable. Our relationship was built on mutual respect, laughter, and countless shared dreams of future adventures. They weren't just my partner, but my confidant, the person I could be utterly myself with. My best friend came into my life even earlier, back in high school. We bonded over our misfit status and a penchant for amateur photography. Over the years, we supported each other through family troubles, career doubts, and all the ups and downs of growing up. We had a history filled with moments that I cherished deeply: road trips, late-night diner talks, and a shared silence that was comfortable, not strained. I considered them my best friend because they knew me almost better than I knew myself. Or so I thought. Together, these two people formed the core of my social universe, the ones I thought would always be by my side. Before the discovery that turned everything on its head, my life seemed almost idyllic. My partner and I were often described as a power couple, complementary in every way. We hosted dinner parties, planned future travels, and were involved in each other's careers, celebrating each success as if it were our own. My best friend was always a part of our plans, being the third wheel we actually cherished. Our trio felt complete, and our bond appeared unbreakable. However, in retrospect, there were subtle signs that something was amiss, signs I initially brushed off as stress or the natural ebb and flow of relationships. My partner, who was usually an open book, started being vague about their whereabouts. Their phone, which had always been left casually around, was now guarded like a treasure chest. My best friend, too, began to change. Their once warm and engaging demeanor cooled, and conversations that used to flow effortlessly started to feel strained and full of long pauses. Around this time, we all went on a camping trip, a tradition we'd kept since college. It was meant to be a weekend of disconnecting from the world and reconnecting with each other. Yet, I noticed how my partner and best friend seemed to have their own private jokes, sharing looks I couldn't decode. One night, as I struggled to get the campfire going, I caught a fleeting look between them, one that seemed deeper than what friends typically share. I laughed it off when my partner joked about me being too paranoid after a scary campfire story. But that night in the tent, as I listened to the distant sounds of the forest, the seeds of doubt were already sown, though I wasn't ready yet to confront them. The first major clue that something was wrong came unexpectedly and hit me like a cold splash of water. It was a weekday evening, and I had come home early from work, planning to surprise my partner with dinner. As I walked in, I heard laughter coming from the living room, the carefree kind that usually made my heart light up. But this time, it sent a chill down my spine. Peering in, I saw my partner and best friend sitting unusually close on the couch, their heads bent together over a single phone screen. The moment they noticed me, the atmosphere shifted. The phone disappeared quickly into my partner's pocket, and their bodies subtly moved apart. At that moment, confusion clouded my mind. Their flustered explanations about looking at some silly meme didn't sit right with me, but I forced a smile and played along. I remember laughing too loudly, my heart pounding in my chest, as I tried to drown out the alarm bells ringing in my head. That night, I lay in bed replaying that scene over and over, trying to convince myself that I was reading too much into an innocent moment. I didn't want to be the person who doubted their partner or best friend without a solid reason. The struggle between confronting them and ignoring the signs was agonizing. I found myself watching their every move, interpreting every glance and every whisper. Yet, each time I came close to bringing it up, denial took over. I told myself that they deserved my trust, that years of friendship and love couldn't be dismissed by an uneasy gut feeling. This inner conflict created a mix of anger, sadness, and betrayal, slowly building a wall of resentment that I was not yet ready to acknowledge. I was trapped in a cycle of doubt and self-blame, questioning not only their actions but my reactions to them. As my suspicions deepened, I began to pay closer attention to the interactions between my partner and best friend. Each shared glance or secretive whisper seemed to carry a weight that hadn't been there before. My previous overlooks became observances, scrutinizing how they seemed to communicate in a shorthand that I was no longer part of. One evening at a mutual friend's birthday party, I noticed how they would often disappear into the crowd, only to be found in quiet corners or laughing together on the balcony. It was during these moments, watching them from a distance, that the puzzle pieces started falling into uncomfortable places. I decided it wasn't enough to observe from afar. I needed something tangible to confirm or dismiss my fears. The pivotal moment came one night when my partner announced they were going to a late work meeting and wouldn't be home until after midnight. Something about the way they hurriedly gathered their things filled me with a dread I could no longer ignore. I waited about an hour, then drove by my best friend's apartment, a place that had once been like a second home. There, parked outside, was my partner's car. Armed with a sinking heart, I realized I needed undeniable proof. Later that week, I installed a small discreet camera in our living room, rationalizing it as a necessity for my peace of mind. It wasn't something I ever imagined doing, and every step felt like a betrayal of the trust I once held sacred. However, the need for the truth outweighed the guilt. When I later reviewed the footage and saw them together, not as friends but as something more, the reality of their betrayal hit me with devastating clarity. The confrontation was inevitable, and yet, when the moment arrived, I felt utterly unprepared. It was late evening when I confronted them. Both were at my house as if it were any other casual visit. My heart raced as I sat them down, the evidence of their betrayal heavy in my mind. I saw the car at her place, I started, my voice steadier than I felt. And I've seen enough to know what's been going on behind my back. My partner looked stunned, their eyes wide, searching mine for an out. My best friend, on the other hand, was the first to break the silence. "I'm so sorry, it wasn't meant to hurt you," they stammered, their voice a mix of regret and fear. "How long?" I demanded, cutting through the apologies that felt like salt in an open wound. It just happened," my partner interjected. "It wasn't planned. We didn't mean for this to go this far." The room felt unbearably tight as I listened to their explanations, each word slicing through the last thread of trust I had. The emotional intensity of the encounter was overwhelming. I felt a cocktail of betrayal, grief, and anger bubbling inside me. I had to grip the back of a chair to steady myself, my whole body trembling. So, all those late nights, the secretive messages, it was all a lie? I asked, my voice cracking. The reality was setting in, every second adding weight to my disbelief. "Yes, but we didn't know how to stop," my partner replied, their voice low, defeated. "We never wanted to hurt you." The air was thick with tension and remorse, but none of it enough to undo the damage. The confrontation, although painful, was necessary. It didn't just reveal their betrayal, but also marked the moment I began to reckon with the depth of my own pain and the long journey of healing that lay ahead. I ended the conversation by asking for space, the next steps unclear but necessary. As they left, the silence that followed was both suffocating and strangely liberating. The aftermath of the confrontation was a period of profound loneliness and introspection. The immediate effect was the end of my relationship with my partner. We decided that the breach of trust was too deep, and despite their apologies and attempts at reconciliation, I knew things could never return to what they once were. My relationship with my best friend also ended abruptly. The betrayal cut all the more deeply because it came from the person I had trusted unconditionally. Both relationships that had once been sources of joy and comfort were irrevocably damaged, leaving a void that was hard to fill. In the days and weeks that followed, I grappled with a range of emotions from anger and confusion to profound sadness. I questioned my judgment, my worth, and how I could have been so blind. It was a time of self-doubt, but also of self-discovery. I learned about my resilience, my capacity for forgiveness, and the importance of boundaries. Support from other friends and family was crucial during this time. I was fortunate to have a supportive network that stood by me. My family provided not just emotional support, but also a safe space to express my feelings without judgment. Friends, who had been on the periphery of my social circle, stepped in, offering both distractions and a listening ear. It was a reminder that while I had lost two people very close to me, I was far from alone. Dealing with the betrayal involved a lot of self-reflection and therapy. I sought professional help to navigate my feelings and to understand the dynamics of what had happened. Therapy was instrumental in helping me rebuild my self-esteem and trust in others. I also turned to writing as a form of therapy, journaling my thoughts and feelings, which provided a creative outlet for my emotions and a way to track my healing process. The fallout was difficult, but it was also a period of immense personal growth. I emerged from the experience more aware of who I am, what I value in relationships, and how to protect my emotional well-being. While the betrayal was a painful episode in my life, it also paved the way for new beginnings and deeper, more meaningful connections with those around me. This experience, while one of the most painful chapters of my life, was also a profound teacher. It taught me hard lessons about trust and the complexity of human relationships. I learned that trust, once broken, is not easily mended, and that relationships must be built on a foundation of transparency and mutual respect. The betrayal made me reevaluate not just my relationships with others, but also with myself, highlighting the importance of self-awareness and listening to my intuition. Healing from this betrayal was a deliberate process that involved several steps. First and foremost, I allowed myself to feel all the emotions that came with the betrayal: anger, sadness, disappointment, without judgment. Acknowledging these feelings was crucial in moving past them. I surrounded myself with people who uplifted me and sought out activities that restored my sense of self-worth and joy. Gradually, the pain diminished, and the lessons became clearer. One of the most significant changes I made was in setting new boundaries in my relationships. I became more vigilant about who I allowed into my inner circle, ensuring that my emotional investments were reciprocated and valued. I also learned to communicate more openly about my expectations and needs in friendships and romantic relationships, which has led to healthier and more fulfilling connections. Moreover, I shifted my perspective on what it means to be vulnerable. Vulnerability was no longer just about openness, but about being strong enough to enforce my boundaries and protect my space. This experience has also led to a deeper understanding of forgiveness. I realized that forgiving someone isn't about condoning their actions, but about freeing myself from the hold of bitterness and anger. This journey of reflection and growth has also impacted my professional and creative life, pushing me to pursue projects that are aligned with my values and to engage with communities that support personal development. I've become more involved in speaking and writing about my experiences, helping others navigate their challenges and encouraging conversations around trust and recovery. In conclusion, while the betrayal was a difficult experience, it catalyzed a period of significant personal growth and transformation. It reshaped my approach to relationships and helped me become a more grounded, thoughtful, and resilient person. In closing, the journey through betrayal to healing has been transformative. The key lessons it taught me about trust, self-worth, and the resilience of the human spirit have profoundly shaped who I am today. I've learned the importance of listening to my intuition, the strength found in setting boundaries, and the healing power of forgiveness, not just for others, but for myself. This experience, as harrowing as it was, forged a new path for me, one where I am more attuned to my needs and the true value of the relationships I choose to nurture. To anyone who finds themselves in a similar situation, know that it's okay to feel hurt, to grieve, and to question. But also know that there is a pathway out of the pain. Healing takes time, support, and the courage to confront difficult truths, but it is possible. Embrace the journey and don't be afraid to seek help when you need it. Each step forward, no matter how small, is a step toward reclaiming your life and your happiness. Thank you all for listening to my story. I hope that sharing it might help someone else feel less alone and more empowered to overcome their own challenges. Please feel free to share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. Your stories matter, and this is a safe space to share them.